If you'd like to get more book sales, more 5-star reviews, and really grow your author platform, then this video is for you. You're getting a free preview of my full-length course, which is on Udemy. In this video, we're going to go over these first two sections here. We're going to go over introducing you to book marketing, some of the key fundamental things you need to do in order to be successful marketing your books online. The next section is the fundamentals. So free promotions, how can we use free promotions strategically, and when should we not do free promotions? An Amazon hack that very few people know about that'll help you get paid sales. Writing in a series using Permafree. All of these things we're going to cover in depth. It'll give you a glimpse into the very beginning fundamentals of book marketing. Should you decide to take the full course, we'll go into much more depth. We'll talk about categories, keywords, SEOing your book. We'll talk about email marketing, getting 5-star reviews, how to launch your book, social media, what to do, what not to do, building author websites, just tons and tons of material, over 4 hours worth of stuff. But in this video, we're going to cover 1 hour's worth of material so you can get a free preview of all there is to book marketing, and it should help you grow and get more sales on your books to come. So I hope you enjoy this preview. Hello and welcome to the Definitive Guide to Book Marketing course, where you'll learn how to get more sales, more 5-star reviews, and really start to grow your author platform. Hi, my name is Ryan Wiley, and I cannot wait to show you some of these tips and strategies that I've learned. The best thing, perhaps of all, is these strategies are very simple to use. You don't need to be technically savvy. And perhaps the most important thing of all, these things really work. The first thing we're going to go over is the fundamentals. So you're going to learn basically how Amazon works behind the scenes and other bookstores, and how you can take advantage of this. The next thing we're going to do is show how to build your author platform and the best ways to market to your audience. So I'll give you a little hint. Facebook is not the best way to send out messages to your audience. We're going to show you what is and what you can do to really maximize this. The next thing we're going to talk about is reviews. Every author is obsessed with reviews, and for good reason, because reviews make a huge difference on whether someone decides to buy your book or someone else's. So we're going to cover lots of tips and strategies you can use to get more reviews for your books. And of course, I would not give any recommendations if it wasn't within Amazon's terms and policies. So everything you're doing is an ethical way to get more reviews and more favorable reviews. Next, we're going to talk about how to launch your book. So we really want to climb up those bestseller lists whenever a book comes out. If you've ever written a book and published it and sent out that email in the morning of the book launch and it didn't do so well, I completely understand, because that's what I used to do. But there's actually simple strategies you can use to really make your book launches a whole lot more effective than just sending out that email in the morning and hoping everyone buys. Finally, we're going to talk about how to set up an author website. So a lot of these strategies you're going to learn, an author website will help with that. And this is no technical expertise required. Very simple stuff to do. Anyone can do this, I promise, and I'll show you later on what you can do to set up an author website. But right now, I have a job for you. And don't worry, it's a very simple job. But this course, I have lots of lectures, lots of great strategies to do. But what I really want this course to be about is a dialogue between us. I want this course to be answering the specific questions that you have. So I've set up these lectures the best that I can to help you learn, but if there's anything at all about book marketing that you want to know that I'm not answering, I really want you to post it in the discussion forums. And any feedback you have on how I can make this better, or questions I'm not answering, or really anything, I want the discussion forums to be a very lively, interactive place where you can learn from me and you can even learn from the other people taking this course. So right now, my job for you is to post in the discussion forums for this video. All I want you to do is introduce yourself. Give me your first name and where you're from, or whatever you want to do. Tell how excited you are to take this course, whatever. Just post something in the discussion forums just to introduce yourself. That way we can start the dialogue, and really I want you to use the discussion forums as much as you can, and that way I can really answer any questions you have, and that way you can get the most out of this course. So I hope you do it right now. Let's start the dialogue. Let's get some common sense stuff out of the way. But this is fundamental, and it'll help you understand what we're trying to do throughout this course. So our marketing efforts can really be summed into three main categories. There's driving traffic, there's converting that traffic, and then there's nurturing your traffic for repeat customer visits and purchases. So the first thing is traffic. Whatever we're doing, whether we're trying to get emails, social media follows, Facebook, Twitter, or traffic to our books, the main thing is getting potential readers traffic to those sites. Now, how do we do that? Well, we're going to cover several different methods on how to drive traffic, from giveaways to promotions, pricing promotions, paid advertising, blog posts, podcasts, all sorts of ways. And the good thing is, on the internet, there's no shortage of traffic. I mean, there's millions of people online at this very moment. So there's a million different opportunities that you can do to drive traffic. So the second part is converting that traffic. So when we're talking about converting traffic, we could mean our website. So if we want to collect email addresses, there's some tips and strategies we can use to increase our conversion rates, which means basically if 100 people come to your website, what percentage of them are actually converting? So if we want to collect an email address, how many of those people actually come to the site and convert to email, can give you their email to be to your subscription list? Conversions can vary widely. So you can give one visitor page A and another visitor page B, and there could be a huge percentage difference in how many people actually convert. So you really need to be strategic on converting that traffic. And it's not just our website, also on our Amazon page. The words we use in our descriptions and keywords we use and all of this stuff, the reviews you have, all of that can really change and help with your conversion rates. So we're going to talk a lot about in this course how to convert visitors to do what you want, whether it's email, social media, or making purchases. And then the third part is nurturing. So nurturing basically means you already have a customer. Perhaps they signed up to your email list, and you want to be able to build a relationship with them. You don't want just some stranger on the internet. So you want to have a relationship. You want to maybe have some back and forth. You want them to really like you. Because if you have a true fan, then it doesn't matter what next book that comes out, they'll want to buy it. So you need to learn some strategies on how to nurture your audience so they'll like you and they'll want to follow you for years and years to come. So those are the three main things, and really, I mean, that's all there is to it, to marketing. Get some eyeballs, drive some traffic to what we want. Converting that traffic, whether it's a purchase or just the opportunity to market to them. And 3, nurturing them for repeat purchases. So after they've converted, we want them to make more and more purchases. We want them to purchase every book that we write from now on. And there's some tips and strategies that can help with that. So those three. So the first thing I want to go over is KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing by Amazon. It's a major player in self-publishing, and how you use it effectively is going to be a big determination in how well you do as an indie author. So if you have no idea what KDP is, it's kdp.amazon.com. It's where you will go to actually send your book to Amazon if you're going self-publishing. And I will go to, once you log in, it's going to look something like this. So you can see here are all my books that I have published and my prices and things like that. So since this is a marketing course, let's go over some of the key aspects as far as marketing goes. So let me click on my book Spending Spree. And again, you may or may not be familiar with this platform, but let's go to step one. If you've never seen the KDP platform before, I'm just going to go through this real quick. So it's pretty straightforward. You put your book title here. You can put your publisher, description, which we're going to talk a lot about in another video. Author, of course, your categories, which are also really important, your keywords, which are important. Again, we're going to go over all of this in the future, cover and the book itself. And the next part is pricing. And again, this is something else we're going to go over in other videos. You select your territory, the pricing. If you aren't familiar with this at all, you basically get two choices, the 35% option and the 70% option. Now you might be thinking, well, of course I'm going to select the 70% option, but if you want to price your book at 99 cents or actually below $2.99, then you have to go with the 35% option. So that's why some people would choose to do that. And there are reasons why you would want to run perhaps a 99-cent promotion, and that's what that option there is for. But what I wanted to really talk about is KDP Select. So just to clear things up a little bit, there's KDP, which is Kindle Direct Publishing, and if you're self-publishing your book, no matter what, you have to use KDP. Well, you don't have to, but for this video, KDP is where you go to directly publish your book to Amazon. Now, KDP Select is an optional program that you can join, and I want to go over the benefits of using KDP Select because it's very important. Now, let's just click here. So basically what KDP Select gives you is three things, but it comes at a price. The first is a Kindle Countdown deal. And a Kindle Countdown deal is basically if your book's $2.99, you can set the date and time that perhaps you want to run a 99% promotion, and it'll look really cool. I don't think I have an example, but let's say this book was $2.99. It would have a mark out, say it's 99 cents, and there would be a little countdown timer. So basically, this creates an action where people will see that they only have a limited amount of time to get this deal. And that's what Kindle Countdown deal gives you. Now, if you're just starting out, you're really not going to get a whole lot of benefit out of Kindle Countdown deal. This feature is probably better with someone who has a little bit more reach, so someone who has a little bit more of a platform. So if you're just starting out, then this isn't going to be too much benefit to you. What the huge benefit will be is free book promotion. And this is one of the best reasons to go KDP Select, is you are allowed 5 free days over 90 days where you can set your book to free. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, the way Amazon's algorithm works is you have those bestseller lists, right, and the popularity lists. Well, if you sell a book, that boosts your sales rank. So just so you see what I'm talking about, so this is my seller's rank for this book, which isn't very good, but if I would make a sale, this number would get a lot lower. And obviously, if you're all the way up to number 1, then you're the best seller on Amazon. So 1 is the best. So every time you make a sale, a paid sale, this number jumps up. Well, as far as the popularity lists go, if you run a free promotion, every time someone downloads your book for free, that also gives you a boost in the popularity ranks. So it's not quite as good as a paid sale, but it does help you as far as getting some exposure. And the other cool thing that it does, as you can see here, customers who viewed this also viewed, or who downloaded also downloaded, it can give you some exposure in here. If you run a free promotion with KDP and you get a few hundred downloads, then you'll start appearing here as well in certain areas. So running a free promotion, if you have no traction whatsoever, it can give you a little bit of exposure in Amazon's algorithms in various places on their website. Now, in the past, I've had some pretty good success running free promotions. My first book, Disappearance, it was it ended up being in the top 100. I ended up getting about 7,000, actually I think it was 11,000 free promotion downloads, and that got me a lot of exposure and a lot of reviews, and it really helped me when I was just starting out, getting a little bit of exposure. Like I said, Spending Spree, now I ran a BookBub, which I'm going to talk about later, but that got me a huge amount of downloads. And once I switched from not being free to paid, I ended up getting a lot of paid sales too. So running free book promotions through KDP Select is a way to really get exposure if you're new to the game. And ad campaigns, no worries there. The third thing I want to talk about with being KDP Select is, you may have heard of the Kindle Unlimited program. That's where customers can spend $10 a month and get basically free books. Well, not free, they're paying $10 a month, but they get all the books they want that from books that are in the Kindle Unlimited program. So as you can see, a few of my books here are in Kindle Unlimited. Now, my episode 1 isn't, because it's Permafree, which is another video we're going to talk about. But my episodes 2, 3, and you're looking at 4 and 5 are in Kindle Unlimited. So what this does is people can read this book for free if they paid the $10 a month. And all I have to do is hit this read for free. They don't have to pay the 99 cents to buy it. They can just read it for free. And you earn money for every page that someone's reading. So Amazon basically has a pool of money. It's a few $1,000,000 every month. And that's the author's share of being in this Kindle Unlimited program. So the more your books can get read, and every page a reader reads, you earn money from being part of the KDP Select program. Now, it only amounts to, a fraction of a cent per page, but it's no risk to the reader, because they're basically getting your book for free and they get to read it for free. And you can earn money from them reading your book. So that's the third big benefit of KDP Select. Now, it comes at a price. Like I said, if you opt into KDP Select, the big reason, of course, the big reason too are the 3 things I mentioned. It seems like a no-brainer, but like I said, it comes at a cost. So if you opt into KDP Select, what you have to give to Amazon in return is exclusivity. So basically what that means is there's Barnes & Noble, there's Kobo, there's Apple iBooks. There's all of these great websites where you can also submit your book to. Well, if you go KDP Select, you are giving Amazon full control over your digital book. So that means you can't post your ebook on those other websites that I mentioned. You have to only be in Amazon. So that's what you had to weigh in as far as what you should do if you want to be KDP Select or not. again, the three big benefits: you get a countdown deal, you get free book promotions, and you get to be in Kindle Unlimited, but at the cost of not being at the other bookstores. So that's the option that you have to weigh. And we're going to talk a little bit about this in other videos about how to make this decision. And it's not a one size fits all. If you have a few books out, you can have some books that are in KDP and some that aren't. You can really experiment with this. So if you notice you go months and months and you're not making any sales on Barnes & Noble or any of the other platforms, you can switch this book to KDP Select and see if that gives you a little boost in Amazon. Because when it comes down to it, Amazon is the huge major player in the self-publishing world and just the ebook world in general. I mean, they have a majority of the book sales that are coming out, and many authors report that Amazon can make up 90% or more of their overall sales. So if you wanted to really get the maximum from Amazon, going KDP Select would allow you to do that. But again, you have to weigh the costs and you have to experiment with this. So we're going to go over weighing this decision a little more in some of our videos in the future. But I just wanted to show you basically the KDP platform and the KDP Select, just so you are aware if you have no idea or have never heard about this before. But this is the intro to this because like I said, KDP Select is an important thing to consider, and it gives you a lot of marketing options. So I just want to introduce it so you'll know how to more effectively. We've talked about Amazon's KDP Select and whether that's an option that's worth exploring or not. Now we're going to discuss distribution further. So this is basically if you decide that KDP Select isn't something you want to take advantage of and you want option B. So when it comes to distribution, there are four major players in the ebook market. There's Amazon, of course, but there's also Barnes & Noble, Kobo Books, and Apple iBooks. These are really the four main pieces of the pie when it comes to distribution. And each website works very similar to Amazon's. You create an account and you go and submit your book. There's no publisher that needs to read it and approve it or anything like that. It's you just go upload it, put in your description, the category, all that kind of stuff, and distribute it. There's also several other tinier bookstores that are in the market. There's really hundreds. And getting into these might result in a tiny bit of sales. You can go to each one of these various websites and submit directly. But what I do and what a lot of successful authors that I know do is they rely on book aggregators to submit to basically the rest. So smart people will submit directly to the first four that I mentioned. That way you're getting the most revenue royalties from those. If you go to book aggregators, they will take a little piece of the pie in order, it's the price you pay for convenience. So two really main players currently are Smashwords and Draft2Digital. I've worked a little bit with both. I can't highly recommend one or the other. They both do basically the exact same thing. But you can go on there and submit your book and check mark which sites you want to be selected to. So what I do is I unselect Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and iBooks, and I mainly use Smashwords, and tell Smashwords to distribute to the rest of the sites. Now, one critical thing that I want to talk about, and this applies directly to marketing, is that of pre-sale orders. Currently, the way it's set up, Amazon, you can do a pre-sale order. You used to not be able to not too long ago, but they recently changed it so everyone in KDP has access to be able to do a pre-sale order, which is great. It makes a lot of sense. You can build up buzz for your book by having your book on pre-sale. You can tell all your readers about it. They can quickly order it and wait all the anticipation for the book to come out, and then on release day everyone gets the book at the same time. So pre-sale orders in general they make a lot of sense, and you can do a lot of cool marketing things with it. But one thing to keep in mind is this, and it's really important. With Amazon, the way it works is during pre-sale orders, if you make a purchase, that dings up your sales rank a little bit. So, quick thing about sales rank, every time someone makes a purchase, usually that bumps up your sales rank compared to the other books. And the lower and lower your sales rank gets, to where if you're number one, then you're basically going to show up everywhere on Amazon. The more books you sell, the more exposure you get. Well, with Amazon and pre-sale orders, they treat it almost like your book is already available. So if you make a couple sales, then your sales rate goes up. If you go a few days and you're not making sales, your sales rank tips off. This isn't the same with the other big three that I mentioned. iBooks, Kobo, and Barnes & Noble, they do pre-sale orders a little bit differently, and it works to your advantage. The way they work is, let's say you have a pre-sale order for 20 days, and over the course of 20 days, people are making that purchase ready for your launch date when they can actually get their book. Well, these three sites, they count all the orders on the actual day of the launch. So let's say you get 1,000 sales, for example, over this course of the 20 days. Well, the way their algorithm works is they basically pretend like you got 1,000 sales on launch day, which means you have a really good chance of being high up in their ranking charts in different categories. So again, with Amazon, if you get 1,000 sales during those 20 pre-orders, it's basically like you're just getting 1,000 regular sales over 20 days, which can put you in mediocre level in algorithms. Well, actually, if you get 1,000 sales, you're doing pretty well, but just as an example. But compare that with 1,000 sales all on one day, that's a huge spike, and that can really just catapult you into bestseller ranks. So if you're going to do pre-sale orders, it makes a lot of sense to be strategic and only do pre-sale orders on iBooks, Kobo, and Barnes & Noble. Or maybe just one of them. Maybe put all your eggs in one basket and tell all your fans that you're going to do a pre-sale order on just iBooks, for example, or just Barnes & Noble. So you can try doing that, doing pre-sale orders just on those three, because that's where you're going to get the biggest bang for your buck, because like I said, you get that big initial jump right on launch day, and then on launch day you can release it to Amazon for the rest of your customers. But distribution, there's a couple, the tweaks that I mentioned can make you a really smart marketer and really catapult your sales. I mean, you've written this book, you spent all these hours on it, you might as well take that little bit of time to be a little bit strategic. Let's talk about pricing. It seems to be every beginner writer's favorite topic. They're obsessed with how to price their books and maximize their revenue, when really there's more important priorities like getting lots and lots of sales. But because it does play a factor in your marketing, let's discuss this. The first item that's obvious to discuss is revenue shares. So Amazon in particular, they give you a higher piece of the pie depending on what the price of your book is. So between $2.99 and $9.99 is the price point they've set, where they'll give you 70% of the revenue. This, of course, assumes that you're self-publishing, which for most of you, I think you are. So $2.99 to $9.99, you get 70% of the revenue. So if you decide to sell your book for $10, you only get 30% of that revenue. Likewise, if you price your book under $2.99, so in the 99 cents to $2.98 range, you only get 30% of that as well. So if you're looking to maximize your revenue that Amazon gives you, price your book in the $2.99 to $9.99 range. You may have noticed lots and lots of books on Amazon sell for exactly $2.99. Very few sell for $1.99, and that's the reason why. You get a much bigger piece of the pie by selling at $2.99. But there are reasons that you might want to sell a book for 99 cents, which is the bare minimum that Amazon allows, unless you do the Permafree or the free promotions that we've talked about in other videos. But if you price your book at 99 cents, there are reasons why you might want to do this. One is if you want to do a promotion, but two is there are some strategic reasons why you might want to go 99 cents. If you're looking to get lots and lots of reviews, well, it's no secret, the lower the price of your book, the more likely downloads you're going to get. So if you really need to get a review push, 99 cents is one option you can do to make it as seamless as possible for a reader to download that book. So you can use 99 cents in that regard. But for the most part, $2.99 is the minimum you might want to try. But don't necessarily assume that $2.99 is the best way to go. What you can do is, what I recommend, if you're someone if you're fortunate enough to get lots and lots of sales, and by lots and lots, I mean 10 plus a day for a book, a really smart strategy. And unfortunately, on sites you can't split test pricing, so you can't give some people the book $2.99 and some people $3.99 and see which one works out. But what you can do is you can set the price for 1 week and see how many sales you get, and then change the price and do another 7 days and see how that affects your revenue. So what you can do is you can start your book at $2.99, observe the results for 1 week, then change the book to $3.99 and observe the results for a week. If your sales aren't topping off any and people are willing to pay $3.99, then bump it up to $4.99 and measure the results. Again, do it for the exact same amount of time. 7 days is a good. You can do 2 weeks if you want to be more, but just observe to see if your sales dip off considerably, then you can drop it back to $3.99 in this example. So you can kind of jump the ladder doing an extra $1 every week to see what that actual price point is that people are willing to pay for your book. Now, one thing to keep in mind is, remember, Amazon is in the money-making business. So what you'll notice is they tend to favor recommending books that are a little bit higher priced. So there's lots and lots of ways they give you, the author, exposure throughout their website. Well, they will tend to favor higher priced books. So if there's 2 books on the shelf and one's priced at 99 cents and the other's priced at $4.99, and they both make around the same amount of sales, or even if the 99-cent book makes a considerably amount more, but when you factor in the revenue, Amazon will tend to recommend that $4.99 book more than that 99-cent book, just because they know if they give that exposure to that $4.99 book, that's going to push a lot of readers and it's going to help them profit more. So think about that. You don't necessarily want to be the cheapest person out there. You might be able to actually make more by charging more. That's a really key point, because everyone assumes the lower the better, but you could actually get just as many sales by charging a little bit more. So the biggest takeaway on price that I want you to understand is experiment with this stuff. Again, you can do the ladder technique and see what the price point is for your audience. If you're not someone that gets a lot of sales, then just really experiment with this stuff. And there's another point I want to bring up about series. So if you're someone who writes in a series, this is a great opportunity to experiment with pricing. So what you might do, and what I've suggested in other videos, is setting your first book to free. That way you can drive traffic and get readers and then sell to them later. Well, if you write books in a series, you can tend to get away with charging a little bit more on the later books in the series. So someone reads your book, let's say you have a trilogy, a 3-book trilogy. They read your first book and it's free. They get it free, however, through your mailing list or it's perma-free, whatever. They're really hooked on the book. So they read book 2 and you decide you want to charge for this. So maybe you charge $3.99 for this book. Well, they're really hooked on it, and by the time they've read 2 books in your series, they are dying to know what's going to happen in the 3rd book, hopefully, if you've written it well. Well, you can kind of get away with charging more on that final book. So you might be able to charge $4.99, $5.99, because at this point, your reader is so into it, price isn't going to be as much of a concern for them, so you can tend to squeeze in a little extra profit on one of your last books. And you can even get away with this if you write a trilogy. You can even give away the first 2 books for free. Really get them hooked and then make all the profit on that final book. So you could give the first and second book free and then charge like $5.99 on that final book. So you can really make your profit on the people that are really into it and really read that last book. And if you're someone who goes beyond trilogies, if you have a book that has 7 or 8 books in a series, then you can kind of tailor the price point higher and higher throughout the series. But again, all of this, experiment. Don't worry so much about nickel and diming price until you've gotten at least a decent amount of sales. If you're making less than $100 a month, maybe even less than $1,000 a month, your focus should be on writing great books and getting more readers. But once you start to see some success, that's when you want to really experiment with price and get the most out of your efforts. So keep these things in mind. Any other questions you have about price, be sure to ask. But let's talk about the subject of free books. Any book marketing discussion has to include what you should and shouldn't do when it comes to free promotions. Now, there's permafree, which is where you set a book permanently to free. There's actually some instances where that makes a lot of sense. In this video, we're just going to talk about free in general and also temporary free in regards to promotions. So if you set a book to free versus even $1, it's about 50 to 100 times more likely someone's going to download it. So you can get 50 to 100 times more downloads, more readers than if you did, say, a price drop from $2.99 to 99 cents. So if your main goal is to build your platform, then doing a temporary free promotion can really help you out. So let's talk about this. So BookBub is a very popular resource that they have over 2 million subscribers at the time of this. And what you can do with them is you can temporarily set your book to free. If you have Amazon and you're signed up to their KDP Select program, you can set your book to free. And during those paid days, you can send out an email blast and through BookBub, and there are a few other websites that you can set free promotions to. But it's a way to really gain a lot of traction, really promote a free book offering that you have, and potentially receive tens of thousands of people downloading your books. And like I said, because it's 50 to 100 times more likely to get someone to download your free book than a paid book, it's really a great way to gain some traction. Now, when should you and when should you not do free book promotions? a lot of beginner writers who don't really know what they're doing will just take any random book, set it to free, and hope for the best. But this doesn't really work. What you want to do is you want to have a little bit of thought process behind why you're setting something to free. So what a lot of people do will set a standalone book set to free and they'll do a promotion for it. But this really doesn't help you out as much as it could. So let's say you have a standalone, they download the book, they love it, but what are they going to do next? Well, they could potentially check out your other books, but there's no correlation between those books. So you're relying on them to maybe like your style enough, and one of the other books catches your interest. So what can we do? Well, doing free promotions works a lot better if you're working in a series. So this makes a lot of sense. If you have a trilogy or a 5-book series, doing a free promotion on that first book makes a lot more sense to do free promotions, because they get that first book in the series for free, they read it, and then it naturally follows that if they really like it, they'll want to continue on and read book 2, 3, 4, or whatever. There's a natural cycle. It's really called a sales funnel. So people come in through the top, they read your first book, and as each book in the series gets more and more, you're going to have some reader drop off. That's just naturally how it's going to be. But using the sales funnel, you'll get people in the top and you'll get people to read each book in the series, and it's a natural progression. So people get that free taste to see if they like it or not. It's easy access, and then they can decide later whether it's something they want to do or not. So temporarily free promotions are a great thing to do. And the other thing is you really need to promote these. So if you go in KDP to select and put your book to free and don't really do anything with it, maybe post it out to Facebook or whatever, don't expect to see much results from this. You really have to actively promote this, prepare it in advance. So there are dozens of websites where you can notify them ahead of time saying what your book is and the date it's going to be free. And by doing so, you can gain a lot more traction on your free book, because if you can just push it a little bit ahead and get on Amazon's radar, you'll start climbing those regular lists, those download lists, and then that's when things can really start to take off, really explode. I did a book promotion on one of my books, and it got over 36,000 downloads in just a few short days. And what I did was I planned this over a month in advance. I knew the date that I was going to do it, and I did a BookBub promotion, which is a great tool to use if you get listed. But I also submitted it to a couple dozen other websites. So I had everything flowing on this day, and I was planning it well over a month in advance. So on the day of the launch, everything was set up and lots of readers were coming in. And like I said before, I climbed up, I got a huge boost from my push into the Amazon algorithms, but Amazon saw that lots of people were downloading this because I was promoting it on my own. And then it really started to take off because I got a lot of exposure on bestseller lists, and I was even the number one bestseller with one of my books. So I was able to keep getting lots and lots more downloads because I was really exposed in the Amazon website. So using temporary free promotions are a great way to receive a lot of traction. But again, you have to be a little bit strategic about this. Doing it for a standalone novel, it is nice to get that kind of promotion, but it makes a lot more sense to do these promotions with series books, because It gives people a taste of, okay, I really like this book, and it's an immediate jump. So what you can do is you can put a little blurb in the front part and the back part of the book saying where they can go to get the season 2 or the second book in the series. That way it's a natural progression. They read it, they click your link, and they go on to read the second book. And potentially that second book could be paid. Most likely it's going to be paid. So they get the free book on the front end to see if they like it, but then they can easily become a paying reader of yours in the future because they have to find out what happens next in the second book. So use temporary. One Amazon hack that I've heard a lot of authors have success with is the following. What they've done is they'll run a KDP free promotion for, let's say, 2 days. And on that second day, they will cut off the promotion short around 5 p.m. So instead of letting it run all the way through the full 2 days and having Amazon automatically switch it from free to paid again, they will manually go into their KDP account and in their promotion. Now what they usually do is 5 p.m. because that's usually when people are coming home and getting ready to check out books that they want to read. So why would they do that? Well, the way Amazon works is they update their sales rankings on an hourly basis. So for the tenure of your free promotion, you're getting a lot of buzz and a lot of credit in Amazon's ranking algorithms and climbing up those bestseller charts. Well, if you manually switch your book promotion from free to paid, what can happen is, since Amazon doesn't update until the hour, your book could potentially show up in the free listings, but as a paid book. So someone could be reading in looking for a book to download that's free, but there's your book sitting there at $2.99 or whatever. And I've seen this. If you ever see a link that says, why is this book not free, or something to that effect, if you click that, it explains this exact process that I'm telling you, in that Amazon updates their sales and their prices every hour. So what you could potentially do if you're manually setting this is, again, your book, which you just switched back to paid, could still show up in the free listings, which is great advertising, because what could happen is someone could read your cover and your description and decide, I was in the free listings looking for books, but this one really catches my eye, and perhaps be willing to pay for it. So you can sneak in there and get some paid sales just by kind of tweaking the system a little bit with Amazon and showing up in free, but getting those paid sales because your book is being switched to paid. So it's a little bit of a gray hat area perhaps, but you're really not doing anything detrimental. You're just telling Amazon you want to end your promotion a little bit early, and there's plenty of reasons why you may want to do that, but you can decide if you want to do this trick or not. I know some authors have had a lot of success with it, and it's a potential way to sneak in there and get a lot of paid sales. So manually change your KDP promotion at around 6 p.m., switch it back to paid, because, I mean, honestly, those last few hours, you may not be getting a ton more free downloads. Your promotion may be starting to lose its steam and end its course. So you can switch it to paid and see if you can get a few paid sales. The next trick in your book marketing arsenal is Permafree. Now what Permafree is setting your book permanently to free. Now, I know that sounds a little bit crazy, but they're perfectly reasonable, smart decisions on doing this. So setting your book permanently to free forever on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, all of those websites. So why would we want to do this? And if you watched the last video, again, the reason is to gain exposure, give people a free taste of what you're doing. So this try before you buy mindset has worked for forever, and it's worked across many different industries. So there's no reason why you shouldn't apply this principle to book marketing, right? Setting your book permanently to free works especially well with series. So if you have a trilogy or a 5-6 book series, having that first book set to free makes a ton of sense, because people can try your book, they can get hooked on it, and then they can go on to buy the rest of the series because they'll really enjoy it. Now, it's totally up to you if you do this. I highly recommend it as an easy way to get started, because like I said, people are 50 to 100 times more likely to try out a free book than they are to even pay that $1 for a book. Now, if you don't want to do this, you have a couple other options. You could create a little mini short story that ties into your book. So if you have a trilogy out, you could write a short story that involves this character that will get people hooked to really like this character, to give them a little maybe short story about them and link to your series that way. So that's another option that you could do, and that wouldn't involve giving away a huge long novel that you've written if you don't feel comfortable doing that. But doing permanent free is a great option. Now, there are a couple tricks on how to actually set this up. So as you can see, here's an example of a book that I set to permanent free, and it's the first episode in my series. Now, this book is only 68 pages. I actually broke it out into seasons and episodes, which you can or can't do. So you can see I have season 3, 4. There's 5 episodes in a season. But anyway, I plan on doing, once the entire series is complete, I plan on doing the entire first season to be free, which if you look at these guys, that's what they did. So they have a Yesterday's Gone, and it's six, I believe, 6 books in the entire series, and they set their entire season to permanently free. You can see I can just click buy now, and it doesn't cost me anything. And this book is a whopping 500 pages. So they're giving away 500 pages of free content in the hopes that you'll buy the books later. And you can see they're all priced at $5.99. So if you have the entire series out, you can set the first book to free. And that is the permanent free strategy that we're discussing here. So right now I only have the first episode free. So how do we actually make this free? Because if you try to do this in KDP, in the Amazon KDP program, you'll notice that it only allows you to set the book at 99 cents. So how did I make this free? Well, there's actually a workaround they have to do in order for this to happen. And the first step, and there's a few different ways to do this, but you have to go to an aggregator website. There are a couple out there. The one I use is smashwords.com. And what Smashwords does is you can submit your book to a number of different places, all from one platform. Instead of going to Barnes & Noble site, Kobo site, Amazon, Apple, all these sites individually and publishing your book, this can do it all from one place. Now, this comes at a cost because they take a little chunk out of each one of your sales. So if your book becomes a best-selling New York Times bestseller, that's going to end up costing you thousands and thousands of dollars because they took their cut because you didn't spend 5 minutes to upload your book individually. So you have to keep that in mind. But what you can do through this aggregator is set your book to free. So I can say I want my book distributed to all these places, and I can set the price to free. And again, I can't do this in some of these different websites, but for some reason they allow you using the aggregators. This is the current workaround. But that still doesn't work for Amazon. So there's a little additional trick you have to do with Amazon. And the first thing you can try to do to set this to free is this link right here. So every book link has this. It's called Tell Us About a Lower Price. You click it, and I should take a step back and say you have to wait until your book ends up showing free on Barnes & Noble, Kobo, and Apple, and all these places before you start to do this. So once your book is free at Barnes & Noble, for example, you can say, where did you see a lower price? You go website, and then you paste the link of the Barnes & Noble place that shows that this book is free somewhere else, and you tell them the price is free, day of the price, and you hit submit feedback. Now, this can sometimes work. You wait a few days, and Amazon will see, yes, on their biggest competitor, it's free somewhere else, and they will automatically switch it to free. And once they submit it to free, don't expect them to ever change it back. So you really have to think this through, because once it's free, it's called Permafree for a reason. It's going to be permanently free. But as I was saying, this may not work. By clicking this link, when I tried to do this book, this didn't work. I waited a couple weeks. I even submitted it a few times from a few different computers, and it never worked. They never set it to free. So what I ended up doing was an additional trick, and I learned this the hard way, so you don't have to, and it's Author Central. So this is a whole other can of worms that I haven't really talked about. AuthorCentral.amazon.com. It's a absolute must for a self-published writer to set this up, because you can create your author page through this platform, and it gives you a few different features and tools that you can't get through kdp.amazon.com. But what you can do here is, as you can see, here's my book that I want to set to permanent free. What I did was, there's a contact us form right here, and if I click that, I can get some assistance, some email support assistance. So what I simply did was I told them that there's a pricing issue, and emailed them out and said, I want to set my book to permanent free. And I gave them the link to Barnes & Noble and Kobo and all those websites. And I said, can you please change the Amazon book here to free? And just like it said, within 24 hours, I got a response back. And I think 24 to 48 hours later, my book was finally set to free. So this is how I did it. And again, I would try to do this first. This tells us about a lower price, but from what I've read, going this Author Central route to get Amazon free, this is the way to go, because you can't do the permanent free through the Smashwords here. You have to kind of do Amazon a little bit differently and go this route. But by doing these steps, you should be able to get your book permanently free on all the different websites. And again, the reason we want to do that is proven marketing principles. It's kind of a try before you buy mentality. People can read the first episode of the book, decide if they like it or not, and go on to read the second episode, third episode, and so on. And like these guys did, they have a huge series, 6 books, and they even gave away the entire first novel, which is what I'm planning to do very soon. So giving away something for free that people can try and setting it permanently to free is a great marketing tool, a great option for you. So give this a try, permanent free, if you have a series or are planning to do a series, just knowing in advance that this is a marketing strategy that you can. I've mentioned it before, but let's go into it a little bit more in depth, and that is writing in a series. Series give you a ton of marketing advantages, and quite frankly, it's what readers like. There are a lot of people that like standalone novels, but there are just as many, if not more people that like series. They like really getting into a book that they can get into for book after book to come. It's the same way with watching TV shows. Do people like a TV show that has one season out, or do they prefer a TV show that has 8 or 9 seasons out? Of course, they're going to like the latter because it's something that if they like it, if they try it out and they like the first season, they know they'll have entertainment for hours and hours to come. It's the same way with books. People are willing to try a book to see if they like it if they know that this book has lots and lots of additional books in the series. It's kind of the same way with authors. People tend to gravitate towards Stephen King for a variety of reasons. I'm a fanboy. But people like authors who have tons and tons of books out because if they try this author's book and they like them, then they've just found an author who they really love and they'll get to read lots and lots of books of. They're a little bit more hesitant for an author who just has one book out. Now, let's talk about series in general because I know some authors are a little hesitant to write series because it can be a challenge. It's hard to write a really, really long story like that. But let's dispel a few myths here. One is just that series has to be really, really long. Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be really long. You can write books that are shorter in length that grow into become a series. So let's say one novel is a really big novel, a big Stephen King novel, 200,000 words, something like that, that spans, 800, 900 pages. Well, this could be turned into a series where it's just 30 to 40,000 word segments, and writing those 30,000 word, not quite mini books, but books that are smaller could grow into 6, 7 different complete books that add up to a series. So that's one way you could do it. Now, you could even, that's one example. So let's take it a little bit bigger, 250, 300,000 words. This could be one huge book, or it could be more of the 60 to 70,000 word range, which is a standard novel. That'll show up as 200 plus pages on Amazon, that kind of word length. So writing those 60 to 70,000 word books could equal 3 or 4 different novels, and that presents better because it shows that's a series. So that's one way you could get over this huge bearing that series are too long. But there's another route you can take, and it's completely different. And if you're a longtime reader, you'll know how some of these books work. A lot of authors assume a series is something where you have book 1 and then book 2 automatically transitions. So our main hero, they conquer the day. Like, think Harry Potter. He sort of defeated Voldemort in the first series, and then book 2 brings up a whole new set of challenges, and he has to fight Voldemort again, and then so on and so forth. Well, series books don't necessarily have to be that way. They can kind of be like standalone novels. Some examples of this are the Jack Reacher novels, Clive Cussler's Dirk Pitt series, and also the Alex Cross series is kind of like this, the James Patterson novels. There is some carryover with the James Patterson ones, which is something worth discussing. He'll have a bad guy and maybe one book that won't appear until book 4, so it kind of helps if you know that background. But for the most part, the Alex Cross series, you can read them out of order. It's not a problem. And certainly with the other books, you can read those kind of books out of order. It doesn't really matter. So when it comes to writing series, you can write standalone type novels. Now, the way to do this typically is with one central character. So you kind of have like the detective, like Alex Cross, and they have a bad guy, and the whole book is written to overcome that bad guy and get him to jail or whatever. And then he does this thing at the end, And then the second book is entirely on a completely different new bad guy, new set of problems, and then same with the third, fourth book. So it doesn't really matter what order you read them in, because every book concludes at a set point and starts fresh at another set. So writing series where you have a really great character that people love and doesn't need to be read in one particular order is one way you can overcome those mental challenges, if you have them, about writing a series and having it be this really long book. But the bottom line, again, with series is it gives you a ton of marketing advantages, because you can give away for free the first book in the series. That way you can get someone hooked on that particular story or that particular character, and then they can try your book for free to see if they like it, and then decide then whether they want to purchase your other books. So series are really a really great way to write books and sell a lot of books, because it makes a lot of sense for the reader, because they can try something, and if they like it, they know there's going to be lots and lots of books to come. So really consider writing in a series, and if writing in a series is daunting, just think about perhaps doing a standalone series first to test the waters if you're more comfortable writing standalone series. But definitely consider this. Give it a... Something that I cannot stress enough that you have in all of your books is some kind of blurb that will send people to your website where they can get a free book or something free to entice them to go to. So let me show you exactly what I mean. This is my book, Lost Earth, and the first page is just the image of the cover. I've got a table of contents, a title, another title, copyright. This right here is what I was interested in showing you. So before the book even starts, before it gets into the title and page 1, there's a blurb that says, get season 2 of Lost Earth here, and it's a link. So this is a text link, this image is a text link, this whole page basically is a text link. And if I click that, it would take me here to a landing page where someone can download the book, and they put in their email address, their name, and they can download it. So they can get the second book for free. Now, there's nothing else on this page, as you can see. I don't want people to get distracted and go elsewhere. So basically all this page is a place where they can see the book and enter in their email, and it's pretty clear what this page is designed to do. So setting this up in the front of your book. Now, why do we do it in the front of the book? It's because, like it or not, a majority of people will never get around to finishing a book. So out of 100 people that download your book, there might be 20% or less that actually finish the book. So we want to make sure people at least see this in the beginning. So they might be interested in the very beginning to get a free copy of the second book, even if they haven't read the first one. Now, you can also put this same page, at the end of the book. So there's the last page, not to spoil the last page, but to be continued, and boom, that exact same page again. So right after they finish reading the book, they receive this again. This little blurb to where they can download the next book. So if someone's actually finished it, they're more than likely, if they see that they have an opportunity to get the second book for free, then they're absolutely going to do that. That way they can land to this page, enter their email, and download it. And that way we can market to them later. So maybe we haven't written season 3 or 4 or 5. Well, when we do, we can email it out to them, sending them to the Amazon store so they can be a paid customer. Or if we have any other book or product that we're going to sell later, we can email it out to them. So implementing this is pretty straightforward. So I use Scrivener, and it's a really great tool that I highly recommend as a writer. But it's basically, you put the cover in, you create a text link, Basically, if you right click something in here, Scrivener link. Okay, so it's edit link. So you'd go right here, and you can actually, if there's nothing typed, you can right click and do insert link. But basically I just put a link to the page I want and hit OK, and that makes it a text link. Now, one key trick that you need to keep in mind with this is the positioning of this, because Amazon tends to want to prefer to take you automatically to the first page when you read a book. So a lot of times, if you'll download a book on Amazon, it'll skip your title, your copyright, and your table of contents, and it'll go straight to chapter 1. So you need to create this in such a way that this appears as if it's kind of the first page. So you need to make sure it's after your copyright, after your title page, and position it in a way that this could be the first page. So most likely, this would be the first page that people see. And the best way to do this really is to upload it to Amazon and then test it out. Try downloading your book and seeing what page it gets delivered to first. So one trick you can maybe do is convert this to a folder. There's a couple different things you can try, but make sure that the first, or at least a page before they actually get to your content, they see this initial page right here. So highly recommend you use this strategy on all your books. It works extremely well with series, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a link to your website. It could also be a link to your Amazon page. I mean, that makes a lot of sense, right? If they've read, or if they're reading your first book in the series, having a link to season 2 on Amazon makes a lot of sense, especially at the end of the book. It might not make as much sense in the beginning of the book, but especially at the very last page, at the end, having a link to Amazon so they could purchase that next book makes a lot of sense. I really hope you enjoyed this free preview of my full-length course, the Definitive Book Marketing Course, which you can currently get on Udemy. As I said, we just covered these first 2 sections, so a basic overview and the fundamentals of book marketing. We go into way more detail in the full course. We talk about categories, keywords, all of those things, but email marketing, getting book reviews, launching your book, social media, getting a website set up and what you should do, all kinds of things. And I'm constantly growing to this course. Go into the description and you can get a huge discount on the course where you'll get over 4 hours of video. And not only that, inside the course is a discussion forum where you can ask me any question you have related to book marketing, and I'll tell you what's worked for me and what hasn't and what you can do. So I really hope you check out the course. There's a lot of great information on it, and I really, if anything, I hope you have massive success with your books and get lots of sales and really grow your author platform.